What it do, homies? It's your boy Dave, and I'm back today. We out here with some more Polyphia. This time we're checking out the Audacity. Now, my last reaction to Polyphia, you guys was telling me that I needed to react to this one because it was kind of like a fusion of like prog fusion jazz or something. And my actual but my actual musical experience is jazz. I started in middle school, and I haven't had much time to play since I had kids and everything, but I still love to listen to it. And a lot of what drew me to it was just musical complexities. And the reason why I've come to like Polyphia is strictly for that reason. Y'all was telling me that this is the track that I needed to check out if I did like jazz. I'm super excited. I'm also excited to see why they called this the Audacity. And this will be also my first experience to hearing Anomalie. I don't believe I know who that person is. Let me see if they got some description about who they are down here. It don't matter. We about to learn today. Let's go ahead, shut up, and turn it up. Okay, so look, here's one of the number one things that I learned when it came to just overall just kind of understanding like jazz music, because I do understand that when it comes to like new listeners, it can kind of be hard, right, to kind of understand what's kind of going on. But generally when it comes to jazz, especially if you're not playing, the biggest thing is to kind of focus on kind of like the overall picture of everything, because when it comes to jazz, like I said, there's a lot of complex, there's music theory involved, a lot of complex playing, there's structure and everything. But when I'm listening to this, right, if you focus on kind of like the overall sound, right, before you start diving into like the super complexities, you'll find just how beautiful this is, because they are continuing the melody, right? We can hear the melody, but it's being chopped up. So often that it's almost kind of coming through as something that's unintelligible, right? I'm sitting there thinking that if you listen to this, you're like, yo, what is going on? It's kind of hard to keep your finger on what exactly is going on, because they aren't playing in a more traditional way that we're very, very used to when we're listening to like mainstream music. This is just, everything is evolving, the entire thing. And to have something evolve, especially when we're talking about like the rhythm section, like you got your bass guitarists, you got your drummers, and when it's coming to evolving, usually you want to have some type of a sense of a metronome or something. Most of the time when you're playing, you have this sense of metronome internally, while you're playing, that's kind of keeping you on track. But you're sitting there and you're playing, you're just trying to chop it up. What's crazy about this is that all of it is being chopped up, right? Essentially, when I'm listening to jazz, you will have like your head that's playing, you know what I mean? And then everybody will kind of go into their improvs, unless it's like one of those like big band, like swing type bands where sometimes the whole entire thing is kind of chopped up. But since they're playing in unison, there has to be it doesn't have to be, when it comes to music, for the most part, outside of your music theory, especially creativity, is not really any type of rules and everything, as long as you're playing within the scale. And even then, you could play outside the scale as long as it harmonically sounds good. Almost lost my track. My head is going way faster because I'm just sitting there thinking. But you're playing hand. But in this case, it's the entire song. The rhythm section's getting in. The thickness of the notes that's being played. All of that's coming in, and it's just combining itself all into one to give us this immense orgasm. And we also kind of hearing like how the pianos are kind of coming in, giving us these lush little tones and everything, but it's not sticking around. It's kind of just there. And I like to think of that as as the groundwork, right? Because if you guys are like me, I'm listening to this and I'm looking for a foothold, if you will, something that's going to ground me so that I can listen to the rest of this as it's progressing. But so far, the way that they write is just fantastic, just fascinating. Okay, let's keep going. So another thing that makes music like this very helpful is most of this stuff for the most part, especially when it's designed to be released to the masses, will be composed in like a 4/4 time signature. So simply just counting, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 will kind of help you land what's going on in the music so it doesn't sound like complete chaos. And not only that, but those little pauses and everything. Sometimes they'll play on a downbeat, sometimes they'll play, an offbeat and everything, but it just makes it a little bit more easier to listen to. Another thing that I liked about jazz, there's a lot of things that I like about jazz, is that the rhythm section, the drums, it don't just stay the same. And I often find that like kind of difficult, right? Now, whenever we're listening to the drummer, we would expect the drummer to be about their salt, you know what I mean? To know how to carry the rhythm, to know how to kind of keep the percussive elements going, but at the same time make it very interesting. I'm sitting here thinking about the drummer from Tool. What was his name? Danny. And I remember when I first listened to a Tool song, I think it was my first one. It was Numa. And when I was listening to that, I didn't know much about Tool. And another reason why I like Tool is because they remind me a lot about, jazz, is that I thought that it was multiple drummers, especially when it came to his drum solo part. And it just made me think of just how I mean, that was anyway, we're not here to talk about Danny. We're not here to talk about Tool. But when I think of complex drum sections and how much they can add to it when they kind of deviate away from, your traditional non-standard, I think of Danny when I'm listening to these drums right here. My goodness. Right there. No, see. You know what? I'm sitting here thinking about why they had the audacity to call this the Audacity, right? And the only thing I could think about it was just, and I've said this I said this previously throughout the reaction, is that it's just, it's almost in a way kind of disrespectful how much they done murdered this beat in a good way. When it comes to everything that we just heard, all the complexities and everything, the whole entire song, there's probably like maybe 1, 2, or 3 kind of repeating patterns, but for the most part, everything was just almost kind of sound like everybody that was playing came through with an improv. I can tell you right now, I don't even know what it looks like to even halfway start composing something like this, right? It's just one of them things where it just kind of comes off as just whatever you was feeling in the moment. And I think that's incredibly difficult to pull off as a band, right? Without having some type of root or home stage to come to, when it comes to the melody. The whole entire thing sounded like it was improv. And I think that's incredibly difficult, but that just speaks to the talent of Polyphia. Amazing track. That's the end of this video. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like and subscribe. Dave's out.